What's up? What's up? What's up? Good evening, everybody. I am Minister Marcus, and welcome to the Maximize Your Life Bible Study. It is Wednesday night, and you know what I do on Wednesday nights? I try to help people in their walk and relationship with God. So hopefully tonight I'm able to give you something that is going to help you as you strive to live the Christian life. Sometimes it's hard, people. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's difficult. I did not have the kind of God that I um, felt like I could have or should have had. And so I try to be that for people who are actually trying to honestly and wholeheartedly live the Christian life. And so this Bible study, my whole ministry is dedicated to being a spiritual guide for you, for people, helping people to understand God better, helping people to understand what it means to be a Christian, what it means to walk by faith, be led by the Spirit, these things that we hear in church so many times but we don't completely understand. And so I made it my business, and God has called me to help people um, to better understand Him and better understand the way that He works. And so tonight, as you know, if you've been following our Bible studies, this whole month we have been in the book of Exodus. Tonight, I believe, is the last Wednesday night that we are going to be in the book of Exodus. I didn't look at my calendar, but we may be back next week, but next month we're going to Leviticus. But this month we are ended up in Exodus, and we are going tonight to Exodus chapter 39. It's right towards the end of the book. We're going to take two verses, um, and we're going to dissect those two verses. And we're going to Exodus chapter 39, verse 42 and verse 43. All right, just two verses. All right, and I got three things for you tonight, and then we going offline. Okay, Exodus chapter 42. Exodus chapter 39, verse 42 and 43. I see you watching. I see the watch party. Hey, everybody in the watch party. Hey, everybody on Instagram. What's up, everybody on YouTube? All right, Exodus 39, 42 and 43. According to all that the Lord commanded Moses, so the children of Israel made all the work. And Moses did look upon all the work, and behold, they had done it all as the Lord had commanded. Even so had they done it. And Moses blessed them. Come on, say that. And Moses blessed them. All right. And so, with that, guys, tonight I'm going to talk about a topic. You know, I don't really give a topic, but the topic of tonight, because I read the notes and the notes was kind of leading, blueprints to a better life. Blueprints to a better life. We've been in Exodus. We are in Exodus tonight, Exodus chapter 39, verse 42 and verse 43. And the topic of tonight is blueprints to a better life. All right. And so tonight we're talking about Exodus. And what stands out about the tail end, about the back end of the book of Exodus, you know, some of us, we read and all we know about the book of Exodus is that there are 10 commandments. But it goes a little bit further than that. It goes a little bit deeper than that. Exodus, towards the end of the book, what stands out about the end of Exodus is how detailed and specific God is in his instructions for their new lifestyle. If you read in the 20th, then most of the 20 chapters, even in the 30th chapters, it's very detailed and specific with God and his instructions on how he wants them to live and work with each other, how he wants them to worship them, and get this, how he wants them to build the tabernacle. And so God is specific in giving them instructions on how to live with each other, how to worship him, but then he gives them the blueprint for the tabernacle. And I want you to pay attention because tonight we're going to be using that one word, blueprint. And what blueprint is, it is a set of instructions, especially for the builders. Okay. And God is specific in giving them the blueprints for not just the tabernacle, but the blueprints for every area of their lives. And so I want to stress that it is God showing them how to build their lives the right way. And I think that's significant because many of us go about trying to build our lives without God's blueprint. We go about trying to build our lives without God's blueprint. And here's the danger of that. The danger is, and I want you to understand something about God. This is what the Bible says, that he knows the number of hairs on your head. But guess what? You've been living with you all these years and you don't. He knows the number of hairs that are on your head, and you've been living with you all this time and you don't. What is that saying? That there are things that God will always know about you, and that he has always known about you that you will probably never know. God knows things about you that you have not yet discovered. And I think it's important when you start talking about building your life, because we oftentimes build a life without God. And what you're saying is that you know better for yourself than I don't want to say God does, but I just want you to understand a lot of us go about trying to build our lives without God's blueprint, not recognizing that God has all of the things about us that we need to know when we start talking about building a life. He knows things about you that you haven't yet discovered. He knows strengths, right, that you have not even known yet. He knows weaknesses. He knows gifts. He knows talents about you that you don't even know about yourself. And I want you to understand this. Imagine building a life not using your greatest strength. Imagine building your life not using your greatest skill. Imagine building a life not knowing the intimate personal characters of who you are. And so ultimately what God does is he leads you on the ultimate path of self-discovery. But I want you to understand that number one has to be, ask God for your life's blueprints. If God knows the number of hairs that are on your head, he already knows the thing. And I want you to get this, that God goes about the task of leading you into strengths of yours, leading you into things. When I was young, my dad picked up a guitar. Because he picked up the guitar, I picked up the bass. Then my dad stopped playing the guitar. Wow, it was God's way of leading me into something that was going to be with me the rest of my life. And I want you to hear me when I say this. When you start talking about building a life based on the blueprint, only God knows you well enough to build your life. And that's why you need God. I try to stress so many times to so many people, especially young people, that you need God, not because you want to pay tithes, not because you want to give offering or shout around the church, but you need God because he knows you more intimately than you know yourself. So that means he can lead you down some paths that are good for your life. He can lead you in some areas, right, that are going to benefit your life, and you don't know. So number one, ask God for your life's blueprints. We oftentimes try to build our lives with incomplete blueprints and wonder why things don't turn out the way we anticipate. What happens when you try to put your life together without the right blueprints? This is what I did. My son, my second born son, his name is Dion. When he was young, we bought a crib. I was all married and in love at the time. But we bought a crib, right? And so what I did with the crib is I saw the blueprints of how to put it together. But you know what? I put those to the side. Why? Because I'm a man. I can do this, right? So what I did is I went about building the blueprint. I went about building the crib, right? And here's the thing: it never worked the way it was supposed to work at the end. What I realized, right, was that I had left two screws. I want you to hear me. I had left two screws off, and some of the screws that I had put in didn't go where they were supposed to go. But this is what happens when I try to build something without using the blueprints. And imagine how many things in your life are out of place because you have been trying to build your life, right? Come on, I want you to hear. When you try to build without complete blueprints, you put right things in wrong places. You put wrong things in right places. And ultimately, just like with the crib, the outcome does not turn out right because only God can show you how to put the right things in the right places. Only God can show you how to put the right people in the right positions in your life. You think you know, right? I thought I knew. But just like putting a crib together without blueprints, just like working on a car without having the right manual, every time you try to hook something up on your life without first at least consulting God or getting his understanding of blueprints, and that's why that's number one. Ask God for the blueprints of your life, because when you don't and you go about trying to put it together the way you think it should fit, it's going to turn out the same way that crib turned out that I was trying to make. It didn't work. Two screws was left off. The thing didn't slide up and down the way that it was supposed to. Why? Because I used, come on, I want y'all to hear me. I don't want to stay there too long. But number one has to be, Start praying for the blueprints to your life. You have people in places that's not supposed to be there. You are into things that you probably not supposed to be in. You are working in areas that you probably are not your strongest at. And this is why we need God. God, I need you to show me the blueprints, right, to my life. All right. And so we go move. Okay, we moving. But I want you to hear me when I say this. Understand that sometimes God will send blueprints. And I want to stress that. I want to stress that we often miss the solution to our problem because we don't understand how God answers us. And here's what I want you to hear. I want you to hear me when I say this tonight, right? But I have a job in ministry because people don't understand how God responds. You pray. Look. I've talked to so many people, right? I've talked to so many people, and my job is to guide you into understanding God better. We miss the solution to our problems because we don't understand how God answers. And most of us, we pray for things, and when it seems like God doesn't send them to us, we get discouraged in our faith. I'm gonna say it like this: you pray for a house, right? And you expecting the house, but here's how God works. Sometimes God will send you trees. And I want you to hear me when I say this, right? Understand that sometimes God sends blueprints. Sometimes God sends the complete blessing. Other times God sends the complete blueprints. I hope you got that. I hope you got that. You may be praying for one thing. God may be answering your prayers in another way. You praying for a house, He gonna send you trees. Wow, you can build a house with trees. Sometimes God sends you the complete package blessing. Other times God sends you the complete blueprints. God doesn't always send the finished product. Sometimes He sends blueprints and resources. And I want you to hear me when I say that. When God sent manna to the children of Israel, listen to the book of Exodus. When He sent manna, He didn't send them bread already baked and already cooked and already sliced. He sent them coriander seed. They still had to grind it. They still had to bake it in pans. They still had to slice it for themselves. And I want you to hear me, because some of you getting upset with God because you praying for bread and you don't understand why He's sending you seeds. I want you to understand that sometimes God will send blueprints and not blessings. When He sent quail, He didn't send roasted quail. He didn't send them drumsticks and thighs. He sent a quail. So they had to kill it, they had to pluck it, and they had to cook it. You may have been praying for a better life or a better job or a better marriage or a better stream of income. If you have not got the blessing, start looking for the blueprints. Hear me when I say that. Sometimes God will give you the blueprints to build a better marriage. Sometimes God will give you the blueprint to create another stream of income. Sometimes God will give you the blueprints, and sometimes we overlook the blueprints. Right? And I don't want to move too fast, but sometimes we overlook the solutions because we're expecting God to respond with blessings. God don't always respond with blessings. Sometimes He responds with blueprints. And so if you haven't got that blessing you've been praying for, maybe God has sent you a set of blueprints because He wants you to build it. This is what He does to the children of Israel. I want you to build the tabernacle. So number two is understand that God does not always send the finished product. He does not always send the blessing. Sometimes He sends the blueprints. Sometimes He sends the blueprints. All right. And so here's number three, and I'm almost done. He has given you the blueprints. Once you understand that God may not always respond with blessings all the time, like they preach to you in church that God is just going to rain down blessings from on high. Sometimes your blessing is in a blueprint. Sometimes He'll give you the instructions to make it yourself. And you have to align your resources with God's blueprint and kind of make it. I want you to hear me when I say this. If somebody would have told me this years ago, maybe I would be further in my Christianity, but I was waiting on the blessing. But nobody told me that God don't always send blessings, but sometimes He sent blueprints. All right, so now that you got the blueprints, here's number three, and I'm going to be done. Recognize it's your responsibility to build. Hear me, this is where we are in 39, Exodus 39, 42 and 43. It says that the children of Israel did everything as the Lord had instructed, and Moses blessed it. I want you to understand that you got to recognize it's your responsibility to build. He says, if you want my presence, You have to build the tabernacle. It's very similar to God don't change, God don't change, God don't change. This is what he said to Noah. Noah, I want you to survive, but I'm not going to build the boat for you. Noah, I want you to survive, but I'm not going to build the boat. What if God is saying to you, I want you to have a good marriage, right? But I'm not coming down to make it work. You have the responsibility, hear me when I say this, to build. You have a responsibility to build. God don't change. He gives them instructions, but he says, now you got to do it. Noah, I'm going to tell you everything you need. Build it this long, build it this wide, use this kind of wood, pitch it outside and inside, but you got to build your own boat. Our problem is we want the convenience of the house without the labor of building. And God is saying, what if I don't send you a house, but what if I just send you everything that's needed to make the house and I give you the instructions on what to build? A lot of us miss our blessing. Get it? Miss our blessing because we want it well packaged, and God is saying, I didn't send it to you in a package. I didn't send it all put together. But I want you to understand it's going to take some labor. Are you willing to work for what it is that you want? Are you willing to work to make your marriage better? Are you willing to work to make your finances better? Are you willing to work to make your relationship with God better? Understand, number 3, recognize it's your responsibility to build. What if God is saying to you, I want you to have whatever you want to have in your life, but you have the responsibility of building it? What if God said, I want you to have whatever it is you want in your life, but I'm not going to make it for you. I tell you how it go together, but I'm not going to collect the resources for it. Some of us miss our blessings. Here's what God is saying. Maybe God could be saying this to you, and I'm almost done. Some things I'm going to give you. Other things I need you to be willing to roll up your sleeves and work until it comes out. My testimony, this is my testimony, Minister Marcus' testimony. I don't know about none of y'all, but my testimony is that God didn't give me blessings to a better life. He did. He gave me blueprints to a better life. And you know what I did with them blueprints? I aligned my resources. That's what I'm doing right now. See, people don't understand how God works. He didn't give me the blessing, but he gave me some blueprints. And you know what? I started to build. Come on, hear me when I say that. I started to build a better life. I'm still building. I'm still building. I just want to be real tonight. He didn't give me the blessings, but he did give me the blueprints. I asked God for certain things. He didn't make it happen immediately, but he told me how to make it happen. And look, it took me putting my effort into it. And I want you to hear me when I say this before I go offline. I want you to hear me. The first pair of shoes that my mama bought me, I tore them up. The first pair of shoes that I worked and earned, I kept them for a long time. I think I still got them somewhere. Here's the point. The point is that sometimes God wants you to appreciate what he's going to do in your life. And sometimes if he just give it to you, you won't appreciate it the same way as if you roll up your sleeves and bring it together with your own strength, with your own energy, with your own effort. So number 3, recognize it's your responsibility to build. And I want you to hear me when I say this. If you cheat somewhere during the building process, it is whatever you make it to be. So what if God was to say this? Your marriage is whatever you have made it to be. Your finances is whatever you have made them to be. Your life ultimately is what you have made it to be. Have you been building your life, right, with the wrong set of blueprints? Tonight, I want you to hear me when I say this. Tonight, it's time to get the right blueprints to build a better life. And so, God, if you didn't give me the blessing, where's the blueprint? I understand now. Come on, say, I understand it. I get it. I recognize, right, that God is showing me how to make my life better, how to make these different things in my life come together. Hear me when I say that it is your responsibility to build. And so with that, man, I hope something that I said tonight was an encouragement to you. I hope something that I said tonight was encouragement to you. But I want you to hear me. I'm going to say it one more time. My testimony is that God didn't give me the blessing. He gave me the blueprints. I learned something while I was building. I'm still building. I'm still learning while I'm building. Had he given it to me, I wouldn't have learned the lessons that I learned. Had he given it to me what I wanted him to give me, had he just rained it down on me, I probably wouldn't be as smart or as wise as I have come to be. I wouldn't be as mature as I have come to be. It took some labor, but also also he grew me up in the process. He gave me the blueprint because he knew that by me building it on my own, it would build character. And I hope that's an encouragement for you. Maybe he didn't give you the blessing. Maybe he gave you the blueprint because not only are you building that, but at the same time, he's going to be building you. And so with that, guys, instead of me keeping y'all all night, because I'm definitely excited, right? But I want you to hear me when I say this. Recognize it's your responsibility to build. So with that, I'm Minister Marcus. Thank you once again for tuning in to the Maximize Your Life Bible study. I'll be right here next week, same time at 8:30, ready to guide you in your spiritual walk. And so please, guys, tune in. If it blessed you, let it bless somebody else. And I will see you guys next week. Please go visit our website. It's in the comments, www.thegodmovement.com, and see how you can help be a blessing to the people who are less fortunate. So good night. I hope y'all have a good evening, and God bless you. Good night, you too.